Today, let us discuss respiration system in human anatomy and physiology. Respiration process. In respiration, let us discuss exchange of gases. In exchange of gases, let us consider this is lung, this is a lung. There are two lungs, and let us consider this is a right side lung or right lung, and let us consider this is a left ventricle, and this is a right ventricle, and this is a left ventricle, and here this is a lung, and this is the alveoli or air space, or it is also called alveoli, and this is left ventricle and this is the right ventricle, and from this right ventricle pulmonary artery will be arised and will be enter into the lungs. Inside the lungs it is divided into several branches. These are the branches or capillaries inside the lungs, and from the lungs pulmonary vein will be arised, and this pulmonary vein which is arised will be attached to the, or else will be attached to the right atrium, so left atrium, and the pulmonary vein which is arising from the lungs will be attached to the left atrium, and from this left atrium aorta will be arised, and it leads to the supply of blood into the tissues. Let us consider these are the tissues which are divided into several capillaries. These are the capillaries, and from here it will be resulting into the venules, and these venules will be collecting into the veins, and these veins will be drained into the right atrium. This is a circulation, and as we know that between the two hearts, that is right heart and left heart, there is a circulation into the lungs. This circulation is called pulmonary circulation, and from these two hearts the circulation into the tissues is called systemic circulation. This is pulmonary circulation and this is systemic circulation, and there is a special protein which is responsible for the exchange of gases, that is oxygen, in the lungs and as well as in the tissues. That oxygen exchanging protein is called hemoglobin. First, let us discuss about the production of hemoglobin and how it is formed and types of hemoglobin molecules. And hemoglobin, formation of hemoglobin, this is 5 carbon compound, that is pyrrole ring. This is a pyrrole ring, and that is one pyrrole ring, and this one pyrrole ring in which these four pyrrole rings will be united together. These four pyrrole rings which are united together is called protoporphyrin. The structure is called protoporphyrin, and this protoporphyrin is circular in manner, and at the anterior parts of each pyrrole ring there is a attachment of iron molecule. That is ferrous iron. Ferrous molecule is attached at the anterior ends of this complex molecule, that is protoporphyrin. Now this protoporphyrin along with ferrous molecule is called heme. This is called heme molecule, and for this heme a globin chain will be attached. A globin chain will be attached, and this is called hemoglobin. Along with heme a globin chain will be attached is called hemoglobin. This is hemoglobin. Now this is not complete structure of hemoglobin. This is a monomer of hemoglobin, but a hemoglobin is a tetramer in which, let us consider, this is one globin chain, and once again let us consider these are the four heme molecules in which it consists of two alpha globin chains and two beta globin chains. Now these four along with two alpha and two beta are called tetramer. This complete structure is called hemoglobin. This is tetramer. These are two alpha chains and two beta chains. This is a complete structure of hemoglobin. And if we discuss about the types of hemoglobins, there are three different types of hemoglobins. First, let us discuss. This is a nucleus of cell, and this is a chromosome in which it consists of different types of genes. This special type of gene consists of alpha chains, and one more type of gene, that is it consists of beta chains, and one more type of gene which consists of gamma chains, and another type of gene which consists of delta chains. There are four different types of genes in which alpha chain, beta chain, gamma chain and delta chain. And let us consider first type, that is two alpha chains along with two beta chains, that is two alpha plus two beta chains. This is called HbA type hemoglobin. HbA1 HbA or HbA1 type hemoglobin, it is present in adults. And second type is these are the two alpha chains, and in place of beta chains, delta chains are attached. That is 2 alpha plus 2 delta chains. 2 alpha plus 2 delta chains unite together to form hemoglobin A2 type. This is A1 type and this is A2 type. This is second type of hemoglobin, and the third type is alpha chains, and these are the two alpha chains. In place of this delta chains and beta chains, these gamma chains are attached. Two alpha chains plus two gamma chains are attached. Two alpha plus two gamma unite together to form a special type of hemoglobin, that is HbF type. That is fetal hemoglobin. Out of these three, this is most important type of hemoglobin, that is HbA, HbA2, and HbF. In HbA1, it consists of two alpha chains and two beta chains. In HbA2 type, it consists of two alpha chains and two delta chains, and in HbF type, it consists of two alpha chains and two gamma chains. This fetal hemoglobin type. And these are three hemoglobin structures, three different types of hemoglobin molecules, and this hemoglobin is highly toxic molecule in the body, and if this hemoglobin is left freely in our body, it will flow in entire our body. This hemoglobin will flow along with the blood in our body freely, and this hemoglobin will enter into the kidneys and will enter into the nephrons and will result in the damage of nephrons and rupturing of nephrons. As a result, there will be damage to the kidney. So, in order to decrease the toxic effect of this hemoglobin is packed in the RBC. Inside the RBC, ultimately the effect of hemoglobin will be minimized into the RBC only. So this is the reason the hemoglobin is packed inside the RBC. This is about hemoglobin, which is required substance or required protein for the exchange of gases between the lungs and tissues. And this is about hemoglobin. And let us discuss, this is the alveoli, and inside the alveoli the partial pressure of oxygen will be, partial pressure of oxygen is 104 mmHg. Partial pressure of oxygen in alveoli is 104 mmHg. What constitutes to the partial pressure of oxygen in our body? The oxygen will be available in two forms, in which one form is available in binding with hemoglobin, and second form is in dissolved form. So oxygen will be available in two forms in our body, that is, first form is it will be binded with the hemoglobin, and second form is which is dissolved in plasma. Now this dissolved form of oxygen in the plasma will constitute the partial pressure of oxygen, whereas the oxygen which is binded to the hemoglobin cannot be considered as the partial pressure of oxygen. Now this is the partial pressure of oxygen, and Let us consider this is the pulmonary artery which is going from the right atrium into the lungs, and in this pulmonary artery the partial pressure of oxygen in which the blood is carrying in the artery towards the right atrium is pulmonary artery. Now that is deoxygenated blood in which the partial pressure of oxygen is 40 mmHg. 40 mmHg. Once again, the blood which is going towards the lungs through the pulmonary artery from the right atrium into the lungs having the partial pressure of oxygen is 40 mmHg, and it is deoxygenated blood, and it consists of RBC. Now, a condition of RBC in which are present at this partial pressure of 40 mmHg. Let us consider the first case. At partial pressure of oxygen is equals to 40 mmHg. Now there is a RBC. Let us consider this is one RBC. Inside the RBC it consists of hemoglobin. Now as we know that the hemoglobin is tetramer, and this hemoglobin molecule consists of 4 packets. As it is tetramer, it consists of 4 packets. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 packets. Let us consider these are the 4 packets of hemoglobin, and in which the question is at partial pressure of 40 mmHg. Now, how much amount of hemoglobin will be binded to this? How much amount of oxygen will be binded to this hemoglobin is? The answer is 75% of this oxygen will be binded to the hemoglobin. That is at first. That is, out of these 4 packets, 3 packets are filled with the oxygen. So 75% of oxygen will be saturated in this area. In this area, the partial pressure will be 40 mmHg and the saturation will be 75%. Saturation will be 75%. Now, so here the saturation will be 75%, and as this blood from this here will be moving towards the capillaries in the alveoli. These are the capillaries in the alveoli. Now, and this is the RBCs. This is the RBC in the alveoli, and it consists of 4 packets. Out of these 4 packets, 3 packets are filled in this area. 3 packets are filled in this area, and the remaining 1 packet is left. So here 75% of oxygen is attached to these pockets, and remaining there is only 25% is left. And so here there is a partial pressure of oxygen is 104 in alveoli, and here it is 40 mmHg. Now, as we know that the oxygen will be diffused from high concentration to the low concentration. So from alveoli it will be reached to the plasma. So oxygen will be entered in this area, that is plasma. From here plasma, the oxygen which is present in the plasma will be diffused into the remaining pocket of hemoglobin. So here it becomes 100% saturated. So the point to remember is the blood which is coming from the pulmonary arteries to the lungs, which is having 40 mmHg, having the saturation of hemoglobin that is 75%, and whenever this 40 mmHg pressure blood will be entered into the alveoli, the remaining 25% of this hemoglobin will get attached. Remaining percent of this 25% of this hemoglobin pocket will be filled with oxygen in the alveoli. Now it becomes 100% saturated. Now thus in this area the saturation will be 100%. It is 100% saturated and it is 100% oxygenated blood. It is 100% saturated and oxygenated blood, and here the 4 pockets are filled with oxygen molecule. Now as this is in the alveoli, so these are the capillaries in the alveoli. Now this oxygenated blood has to move out of this alveoli through the pulmonary veins. Let us consider this is a pulmonary vein in which the oxygenated blood from the alveoli will be reached to the left lung, and here in this condition the partial, because of diffusion of oxygen from alveoli to the capillaries, the oxygen from this oxygen in this area becomes from 40, it becomes to 100 mmHg. From 40 mmHg it becomes 100 mmHg. Now the partial pressure of oxygen will be 100 mmHg. In this area it will be 100 mmHg, and this is partial pressure of oxygen. Now one more point to remember is in the alveoli there are 2 different types of circulations. The first type of circulation is pulmonary circulation, and the second type of circulation is bronchial circulation. That is bronchial circulation. So in this bronchial circulation it carries the deoxygenated blood, and this deoxygenated blood, here the deoxygenated blood will be present in the alveoli. Now this deoxygenated blood will be entered into the pulmonary vein, that is deoxygenated blood. Now this deoxygenated blood, whenever it entered into the pulmonary vein, as a result the partial pressure of oxygen, which is initially present 100 mmHg, due to the addition of this deoxygenated blood, now this partial pressure capacity will be decreased. Ultimately the partial pressure of oxygen will be decreased to the 95 mmHg. Here the partial pressure of oxygen is 95 mmHg. The partial pressure will be 95 mmHg. Now, so it is completely oxygenated blood. Now, from this oxygenated blood, it is 95 mmHg. Now, it will reach to the left atrium. From this left atrium, so here let us do one task, that is 100 ml of oxygenated blood contains how much percentage of oxygen in it. Now point to remember is, let us consider in this area it consists of 100 ml of blood. It consists of 100 ml of it consists of 100 ml of oxygenated blood. It consists of 100 ml of oxygenated blood in this area.